Picture this. I'm Millie, 36, female, a wife navigating a lonely life while my husband, Francis, serves in the military. Yep, he's been deployed for some time, which, trust me, comes with its own set of challenges. Military life isn't all glamorous reunions and tearful farewells. It's also about finding strength in the in-between moments. Now, I know Francis is a brave soul. He's got this quiet determination that I admire. And during one of his calls home, he asked for something unusual. He suggested that my relationship with his mom, Lily, needed a little TLC. What are you talking about? Well, you know how mom's been since dad passed away. She's been feeling pretty lonely, and honestly, so have I during this deployment. Yeah, I've noticed. It must be really tough for her. Exactly. And well, I was thinking maybe you could both use each other's company a bit more, spend more time together. Francis, please. I know things have been a bit strained between you and Mom since, the wedding incident. The wine incident, you mean? Yeah, that was something. Let me give you a little backstory. Our beef goes way back to my wedding day. Imagine the stress of planning, coordinating, and trying to keep my cool and not look like a crazy person, even though I most certainly am. And just trying to relax a bit before I tie the knot. And then there's Lily, my dear mother-in-law. She's got a way of pushing my buttons, a skill she honed on that very day. She had an agenda, not a subtle one, mind you, to make my life a tad more chaotic. Petty actions? Oh, she had those in spades. You see, there I was trying to get ready and savor every moment before the big I do. Lily, with a grin that could only be called devious, accidentally spilled red wine on my pristine white wedding dress. Red wine, folks, on a white dress. It was like a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Of course, she claimed it was a mishap, saying she had butterfingers because her baby boy was growing up, but I knew better. That twinkle in her eyes said it all. She did it on purpose. From that moment, our relationship took a nosedive. It was like a layer of trust had been peeled away, revealing the tension simmering beneath the surface. Every encounter after that was laced with passive-aggressive comments and thinly veiled sarcasm. A friendly chat turned into a battlefield of snide remarks. It was exhausting, to say the least. So, naturally, I distanced myself from the hag. I wasn't interested in catching a case. But because of the love I had for Francis and the hurt he had in his voice, I relented. I mean, how couldn't I? I just felt so bad for him enduring all of that BS during his service, all of that hardcore training and sleepless nights. I knew that I at least owed it to him to try. Besides, it had been years after that, so I was hoping that Lily did some growing up. Well, if it's important to you, I'm willing to give it a try. Besides, I'm all about supporting each other. That's my girl. I know it won't be easy, especially with the history you guys have, but who knows? Maybe you'll discover you have more in common than you think. I'll keep an open mind, I promise. But just so you know, if she tries to spill wine on anything again, I'll have a word with her. No more sabotage attempts, I swear. All right, then, let's do this. For you and us, and even for Lily. Thanks, Millie. It means a lot to me, and I promise I'll make up for it when I'm back. After Francis and I had the heart-to-heart about reconnecting with his mother, I mustered up the courage to contact Lily. I knew it wouldn't be easy considering our history, but I was determined to make an effort for the sake of my husband and the overall atmosphere in our family. Biggest mistake ever. Lily's response was as passive-aggressive as I had anticipated. She reluctantly admitted that Francis had given her a stern talking to about how she treated me. She promised that she would try to tolerate me more, emphasizing the word try, with just the right amount of emphasis to let me know that this wasn't going to be a smooth ride. So we began to spend more time together. It was rocky at first with the tension in the air, so thick that you could practically cut it with a knife. But slowly we found some common ground, bonding over old family stories and shared experiences. Things were decent, at least for a while. But then old Lily started to rear her ugly head again. It was subtle at first, those little jabs and digs that only I seemed to notice. A snide comment here, a passive-aggressive remark there. So, Mean Girls in high school, it was pathetic. It was like she couldn't help herself, and it was driving me absolutely insane. Months went by, and the frustration kept building. I was tired of being the nice girl who was trying so hard to make things work. I had enough of the fake smiles and forced conversations. I wanted to address the elephant in the room, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. So one day, I gathered my courage and decided to confront Lily about her behavior. We were at her place, sipping on some tea that I swear tasted more bitter than usual. As I tried to find the right words, my heart was racing a mile a minute. Finally, I just blurted it out. Lily, I can't ignore the fact that things have been tense between us. I thought we were making progress, but these little jabs and digs, they're getting to me. Lily looked at me with that practiced innocence, but I wasn't falling for it this time. Oh, dear, I'm not sure what you mean. I took a deep breath, my frustration turning into determination. You know exactly what I mean, and honestly, I'm tired of playing nice. If we're going to make this work, we need to have an honest conversation. And that's when all hell broke loose. Our conversation escalated into a full-blown argument, each word more heated than the last. Our voices were raised, and I swear I could feel the tension in the room choking the air out of me. I'm not going to lie, I was half expecting my nosy neighbor to call the cops, thinking some sort of domestic dispute was happening. As the shouting continued, it hit me just how deep the resentment ran. This wasn't just about spilled wine on my wedding dress anymore. It was about years of misunderstandings, miscommunications, and a whole lot of pent-up anger. And in that moment, I realized that there was no going back to the way things were. Our argument eventually subsided, leaving the room feeling heavy with the weight of our words. I left Lily's place that day feeling drained, but strangely liberated. We had finally let it all out, and while it might not have been the most graceful or eloquent exchange, it was real. In the aftermath, I felt a mix of emotions, relief, sadness, and even a strange sort of clarity. It was clear to me that some wounds ran too deep to heal with just a few tea sessions and polite conversations. After that intense argument with Lily, I found myself sitting in my living room, the weight of everything that had transpired hanging heavily in the air. I was fed up, worn out from the constant tension and bickering. It was as if the walls of that big house were closing in on me, suffocating me with memories and unresolved issues. As the days went by, I couldn't shake off the feeling of loneliness that seemed to have taken residence in every corner of our rented home. Francis was still on duty, serving his deployment miles away, and the house felt emptier than ever. It was a stark reminder of how much I missed him and how far apart we were, and after fighting with my mother-in-law, I just felt extra lonely. I was sick of either being too far away from the people I loved or too close to the people I didn't. So the idea of moving began to take root in my mind. Downgrading to a smaller place seemed like a breath of fresh air. It wasn't just about saving money, although that was definitely a plus. It was about creating a space that felt more manageable, cozier, and most importantly, free from the constant BS of Lily. During one of our video calls, I brought up the idea to Francis. He was surprisingly open to it. At the time, I didn't mention the fight with Lily, acknowledging that it might be a good move for us, especially if it meant easing some of the financial burden. But then, in that way that only he could, he asked the question that I had been avoiding. Hey, babe. Yes? Part of me can't shake the idea that this also has something to do with a certain someone. Did you and my mom get at it again? Does she have anything to do with you wanting to move? I sighed, feeling a mix of frustration and relief that he had brought it up. Yeah, it's partly about her. I mean, I tried, Francis. I really did. But she's just so abrasive, you know? It's like every conversation with her is a battle, and I've had enough. Francis nodded sympathetically on the screen. I get it, Millie. You've done your best to bridge that gap, but if it's causing you this much stress, maybe it's time to prioritize your own well-being. I genuinely don't know why my mom hates you so much. I'll do what I can, but my hands are tied since I'm out here. But I love you, and I want to support you the best way I can. And if it means moving out, then so be it. And there it was, his unwavering support and understanding, just as I had come to expect from him. It wasn't about running away from the problem, but finding a solution that allowed us both to breathe a little easier. His words reassured me that it was okay to put myself first and to seek a healthier environment where I could thrive without constantly being on edge. As our conversation continued, I felt a renewed sense of determination. Moving wouldn't solve all of our problems, but it would be a step towards reclaiming my peace of mind. And with Francis by my side, even though he was miles away, I felt empowered to make decisions that would lead to a more positive and fulfilling future. So, as I looked around our living room, I imagined what it would be like to start anew in a cozier space, free from the ghosts of unresolved conflicts. I was ready to take that step, to create a space where Francis and I could find solace in each other's company, without the constant weight of negativity that had plagued our relationship with Lily. So, fast forwarding about 3 months, I was all settled into this cool apartment. Honestly, it had been such a game changer. You wouldn't believe how freeing it felt to escape that old place with all its bad vibes. Anyway, my 26th birthday was on the horizon, and I was stoked. It was going to be my first time celebrating in my new digs, and I was determined to make it awesome. Usually, I'd leave my home out the night before the party so my friends and family could deck out the place, because they always wanted to surprise me. But this year called for a little something different. I obviously couldn't have a grand party in such a tiny apartment. My friends were there, and we were getting the party started before our early flight the next day. You know, having a pre-trip hangout, crashing at my place, and then jetting off together. We were having a great time. The living room was buzzing with laughter and chatter as we geared up for the adventure. But obviously, things can't stay the same forever, right? During all the excitement, my phone buzzed with a text from Lily. Curious, I checked it out. Call me now. Something important to talk about. It was quick and to the point, but the urgency in it made me wonder what was up. I slipped away from the crew, heading to my bedroom to dial her up. My heart was racing a bit, like, what was so urgent? Hello? Hello, Lily? What's going on? I've had enough of your crap, Millie. What the hell is wrong with you? Excuse me? You heard me. What is your problem? Why do you have to go and try to make my son hate me? Oh, I see. You're mad because I told your son the truth? What truth? You're ridiculous, you know that? Lily, I don't have time to deal with you, okay? I'm sick of you and your bitterness. I don't care that you're a miserable person. Just leave me alone and let me enjoy my birthday weekend. Speaking of that, I wanted to let you know something. You're not going to be enjoying your birthday this year. You should thank me for the heads up. What the hell? What are you talking about? Well, I was feeling a bit bitter after not being invited this year, you see, so I took the liberty of contributing as best I could so that I could at least do something special for the birthday girl. What the hell did you do, Lily? Well, I'm sure you'd like to see it for yourself tomorrow, but I can't hold it any longer. I broke into your home and broke everything. All of the decorations, the furniture, everything is broken. Come to think of it, I did you a favor because your friends did a terrible job at decorating this year. Honestly, it looked like a completely different person was living in that house. I took a long pause, practically hearing Lily smirking on the phone before she said, "Oh, looks like I did my job and gave the birthday girl a great surprise. Happy birthday, Millie. Hope you have a blast." I started laughing, and this seemed to anger Lily. "Why are you laughing? What's so funny? You should be crying right now." "Oh, Lily, you idiot." "Excuse me?" "You think you're so smart, don't you? Well, I will say one thing. You did manage to surprise me, that's for sure. I didn't know you could be so horrible, but you made a big mistake, love." "Oh, yeah? And what's that?" "That's not my house." "What? Have you lost your mind or something?" "Nope. But you will, once you realize whose house you just broke into and vandalized." So I spilled the beans to Lily about my move 3 months back. I guess it was kind of unexpected for her to hear that I'd decided to pack up and leave. The old house was history, and in its place was this new sheriff who had rolled into town. Yeah, this sheriff, Liam, he had snagged the house. He was new to the area and was planning on moving in with his family. I had met him a couple of times, and I could already tell he was one of those genuinely nice guys. Like, he was all about getting his place ship-shape before his family came over. As I explained all this to Lily, I could sense her mood changing. She was starting to freak out, and I knew why. Lily realized that she had just messed with the wrong person big time. See, vandalizing a regular home was one thing, but taking on the new sheriff's house was on a whole different level of crazy. I heard her shiver on the other end of the line, and I knew she was beginning to understand the magnitude of what she had done. The panic in her voice was palpable as she asked, "Oh my God, Millie, what have I done?" I let out a chuckle, but it wasn't a happy one. "Well, Lily, you decided to mess with the sheriff's home. You're on your own with this one." She began to cry and panic, begging me to help her fix the situation. She didn't even say she was sorry for attempting to vandalize my home. What a witch. She wanted me to reach out to the sheriff and tell him it was all some big misunderstanding. But seriously, this was just too rich. Lily was reaping what she had sown, and I wasn't about to bail her out. I had to hold back a laugh as she sobbed over the phone, saying her life was ruined. I wasn't feeling bad for her, not in the slightest. She had played these games for years, and now she was facing the consequences. It was kind of poetic justice, if you ask me. "Millie, please, please help me. Oh, God, I'm going to go to jail." I just shook my head, even though she couldn't see it. "Sorry, Lily. You got yourself into this mess, and I suggest you figure your way out. I won't be part of it. I will say you've made my night, though. This is the best birthday present I could ask for." I ended the call and let out a sigh of relief. Finally, I was done with Lily and her drama. It was time to move forward and live my life without her constant negativity dragging me down. As I glanced around my cozy new apartment, I knew I had made the right choice in leaving that old place behind. The next day was the start of my vacation with my friends. We were ready for some fun and adventure, and I was determined to leave Lily's mess far behind me. As my friends and I jetted off, I ignored all of her calls. I had made up my mind that I was done with her and her toxicity. I managed to finally get a hold of my husband, Francis, while we were on a break. I told him everything that had gone down with Lily. He was understandably upset with his mother for her ridiculous behavior. It was like she had finally pushed it too far, and he was glad that she was finally getting a taste of what she had been dishing out. As my friends and I enjoyed our vacation, I was still getting updates from some friends and acquaintances back home. They were filling me in on what happened with Lily. Turns out, after all her crazy antics, she had landed herself in a jail cell. And the irony of it all, she had nobody to bail her out. It was like the universe was serving her a hefty dose of karma. I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction as I heard about Lily's situation. For so long, she had acted like she could do whatever she pleased without any consequences. But now she was facing the music all on her own. She had burned so many bridges and pushed away everyone who might have been willing to help her. While I was basking in the sun with my friends, Lily was stuck in a jail cell with nobody to turn to. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, knowing that I was free from her toxic influence. I was no longer going to be dragged down by her manipulations and hurtful actions. As my vacation came to an end, I returned home feeling refreshed and renewed. Lily's chapter in my life was officially closed, and I was ready to move forward without her. It was a liberating feeling knowing that I had taken control of my own happiness and left behind the negativity that had held me back for so long. Life moved on, and I focused on building positive relationships and surrounding myself with people who truly cared about me. Francis and I were stronger than ever, united in our determination to create a happy and healthy life together. And as for Lily, well, she had finally reaped what she had sown, and it was a lesson she wouldn't soon forget.